All right, version 3, volume 3. I keep saying the wrong thing. I had to do some work, get done, and so now I can do this work. Life sucks. Enough questions. All right, if I'm in space and I throw a 2-liter Coke bottle away at 1 mile an hour, and so this is the same as the bullet and the gun recoil. So in one case, I'm going to let the gun recoil fly out of the ship. In the other case, I'm going to let the bullet fly out of the ship. The bullet has 2,000 joules leaving the ship. The gun recoil has 2. All right. So those are the facts, right? So he's agreeing to the facts, but he's not saying anything. So he's accepting that's what's going to be happening. And even though I shot 2,000 joules into space, my equal and opposite reaction will be 2. Do I receive the same thrust if I shoot a dime away from me at 1,000 miles an hour? If so, isn't this proof against kinetic energy formula? So obviously, I had to generate 2,000 joules of energy to move the bullet. And the question is, how can I only have 2 joules of recoil? How's that possible? So it doesn't obey Newton's third law.
Right, because those aren't the same units.
Okay, so he's going to... It's nonsense. It's the same units. I've converted the newtons into joules. It's 20 newtons, but 2 joules. Doesn't matter. You're saying 20 newtons and 2,000 joules are the same thing. They're creating the same momentum in my spaceship. You can't make sense out of that. You can't possibly make sense out of it. Oh, he's going to try anyway. Oh, damn. This is where Yoda's right. Try is bullshit. Do or do not do. Prove it or leave it alone. And you're not going to be able to prove it, so leave it alone.
Joules are not thrust.
Okay, so joules aren't thrust now. So what is thrust? Thrust isn't newtons, it isn't joules. What is it then? I mean, this is just baby talk, right? I mean, it's supposed to be able to do the work. That's the formula. It's supposed to do work. The simple point is it doesn't do any work. What work did it do? None. And where did I get it from? Where's the magic source? And again, violating Newton's third law is pretty significant.
Thrust is... This is a very poorly worded question, really.
Oh, please. It's a gun question. I mean, it's poorly worded. Okay, so again, I've done this analogy so many times. I put guns inside of each other with a good seal. Put the same explosive as the bullet inside. And the 2 guns fly apart, and this one has 2 joules, this one has 2 joules. That's all the energy they have. Okay, and then I take a zip gun, I put 2 bullets in it, but only 1 charge, only 1 piece of dynamite, and the 2 little tiny bullets. And I do the same experiment, boom, I get 4,000 joules of energy. So in one case, the same explosive creates 4, and in the other case, it creates 4,000. How much energy did the explosive really have? Did the explosive have 4,000 joules, or did the explosive have 4 joules? Is that a poorly worded question? No, it's not poorly worded. It gets right to the frickin' point. And you won't address it because it gets right to the core of the subject.
I mean, I'm trying to be generous here, but...
Oh, I'm trying to be generous. Jesus Christ. So if I use that terminology to you, well, I'm trying to be generous. I'm really trying to understand what the hell you're talking about. I mean, you're saying it's 25 times the energy. Could you just show me 24 times or 23 or maybe 40 times or some other number of times besides 2?
Thrust is force. Right? Thrust is force.
They're both thrusting with insanely different amounts of energy. Okay, insanely different. 1,000 times difference. One case you have 1 atom going 1,000 miles an hour. The other case you have 1,000 atoms going 1 mile an hour. Now I say that's the same momentum. You say those two things are fundamentally different. The single atom has 1,000 times more energy. That's literally what you say. The one atom going 1,000 miles an hour has 1,000 times more energy. I'm just asking you to show me some piece of evidence somewhere that indicates that's possibly true. And I'm showing you examples of all these ways of testing it where it fails the test entirely. It clearly fails to move the spaceship. The kinetic energy, well, you just concede, it doesn't move the spaceship. It doesn't do work on the spaceship.
Force is not momentum, and neither is it kinetic energy. So you're just mixing things.
No, I'm mixing in the sense I'm saying motion. You're talking about motion. It creates motion. That's the definition of kinetic energy. It's the energy of motion. I'm saying, where is the energy of the motion? Where did it go?
Up and you're just saying they're the same, but they're not the same, right?
Okay, so there's no arguing. I didn't say they were the same. I said they're convertible. But they are the same. mv and mv squared have the same elemental thing, motion. Mass times velocity. You're squaring the velocity. You're saying there's some reason to square it. I'm saying, what's the reason? It doesn't work. It doesn't do work. So why are you squaring it?
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Again, you're just arguing that I should square voltage and get some wacky wattage number, and we can just all pretend that it takes, more than it does to make something happen, that it takes more electricity to make more watts, a lot more.
And let's see what he says when I go through his example.
Yeah, you don't go through anything. Don't argue it at all. You don't explain it at all. You just do what you just did now. Nothing. And it clearly can't be used. It can't do any work. So the energy can't possibly be, you can't possibly have the definition of kinetic energy as energy that does work when I didn't have to do work to do it. That is, if I shot two guns away from each other, right? Had the same explosive, and I'm sorry, yeah. Illustrating the same thing. Put two guns inside each other's barrel. I'm still only going to have 2 joules and 2 joules. I'm just going to have 4. But then if I make a zip gun and I put 2 bullets in, I'll have 2,000 going that way and 2,000 going that way. I'll have 4,000 joules. Same explosive. So if I measure the power of the explosive, one experiment tells me it's 4,000 joules of energy. The other experiment tells me it's 4.
I'm really not sure what you're talking about there.
Oh, brother. All right, so this is the example, right? That's the definition of futility, right? I mean, you can't understand that simple analogy that's really just a description of actual physics. I mean, it doesn't require an idealization. This is an experiment that we all know we could do, and I think we all agree on what the results are. I'm not magically, if I put 2 guns with the same explosive, I'm not magically going to get more energy than the recoil number. It's going to be about the same. I'm not going to get any more energy into those 2 guns. And the fact is, I'm not going to change what the bullets are going to do either. So they have to leave with 2,000 and 2,000 because we know that half the energy goes this way and half goes that way. So he just won't deal with the paradoxicalness of his religion. It creates a paradox, an impossible circumstance to explain reasonably. If your theory of the murder is that the wife did it because she wore levitating shoes, you really have an obligation to explain where she got the levitating shoes.
Explain in more detail, and then we can work it out and see. But the bottom line here is that momentum is not energy. And
okay, so it's just baby talk, right? Semantics. It was energy for Newton. It was energy for Descartes. And it was energy for Galileo. They didn't have the word energy, but that's what they thought of it as: quantity of motion, energy. A quantity of something that makes things move.
you're very very insistent that it is, but it's just not.
You can just keep saying it's just not, and I'm not going to be impressed with it's just not. It's just not isn't going to persuade me, so you can keep saying it's just not, and I, as a reasonable person, have every right to say it's just not is good enough. That's just like somebody saying God is God, because I say so.
By definition, right? The definition.
Okay, so lie again. I'm sorry. There's nothing in the definition that this makes a distinction between the two words, except some notion that you're going to call one a vector and you're going to call one a scalar. But beyond that, there's absolutely no definition about how it's some other kind of motion. It's supposed to be the energy of motion. Where's the motion? The spaceship doesn't get motioned.
Of energy is different from the definition of momentum.
Okay, says you. Find me the difference in the definitions, please. What's the difference? Draw me the difference. Show me what kinetic energy might look like, and I'll show you what momentum looks like. Momentum looks like a transfer of motion. MV. I conserve mass velocity. That's what I conserve. You explain to me where, in this experiment, you conserve the kinetic energy, because you didn't.
They are not the same. You can argue that the thing we define as energy is perhaps not.
There's no point in having a third law if you don't think motion is energy. So if motion isn't energy, the third law doesn't mean anything, does it? Or the second law, it doesn't mean anything. The first law doesn't mean anything. If energy isn't motion, then there's no point in having a conversation about Newton's laws, because he's talking about momentum. He's not talking about energy.
Not effective at something. It's not indicative of something. It's not useful.
Amazing. The whole illustration is to point out how useless the kinetic energy is. I have 250 million joules of thrust, and I only get 46 joules of motion in the spaceship. That's the whole point. I mean, just amazing. It doesn't work.
For something, ultimately what you're saying is that the conservation of energy statement, the equations of energy are false.
Obviously, I'm saying 1/2 mv squared is false. Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think I made that really clear. I think I made it clear in the very first comment I wrote to you. And then I said it again, and I called it a fable, and I called it nonsense. So, oh, you're surprised? No, how could he possibly be surprised that I think the formula is a pile of shit? A made-up fable. It's a holy ghost, nothing more. It's made-up gibberish. It doesn't happen.
And yeah, why don't we stick to that? I don't know.
Oh, why don't we stick to that? So I give him what is the clearest in space example. There's no other forces involved, nothing else to mess up the equation, nothing to distract us, no friction, no sliding on tubes, no nothing. It's the simplest experiment you can possibly come out with. I throw a pocketbook, and I throw my wallet. Okay, so what's the difference? I throw any two different things with different amounts of momentum. I mean, the same momentum, but different amounts of kinetic energy. And it doesn't matter what they are, the kinetic energy will be irrelevant. The only thing that's ever going to matter is how many rocks are in the purse, or how many joules are in the wallet. How many grams of, hashish. It's all going to matter. It's just so full of crap. How many condoms? I had a condom in my wallet for like 6 years. It was really depressing. Now, can you understand that they really need to the same condom? Explain that? Because that doesn't make any sense at all. And the simple truth is the bullet never had 2,000 joules of anything. It's got 2 joules of momentum. But what it does have is a very high velocity that can break things. Like a
momentum is...
Yeah, so whatever. It's a pointy arrow. Velocity is like pointing your arrow. It just means you can apply energy and mess things up. You can tip things over if you apply energy at a tight frequency. You throw it at a loose frequency, it won't tip over. So that's all this is about. High velocity does have a potential to make things look like you moved more matter, but you didn't move more matter. The bullet going through somebody's head moves a certain amount of matter at a certain velocity. Well, the recoiling gun actually does the same thing. It's just that it obviously moves a lot more matter, a lot less violently.
It's not measured in joules.
All right, so he just keeps doing it. All right, so a physicist who doesn't know you can convert a Newton into a joule. Not much you can say, right? Ridiculous premise for an argument? Yes, it's a ridiculous premise for this argument. Pointy arrow, it can sneak through matter more efficiently. Oh, shit, these people are stupid. All right, so his answer is the kinetic energy formula. No, it's okay. If so, isn't this proof against the kinetic energy formula? Okay, that's the end. I should put a space there. No, it's not proof against KE. So again, I'm arguing, of course it is, because you'll have no explanation for how it's possible that I did 2,000 joules of energy, and yet I only got 2 joules of motion in my spaceship.
Momentum is not energy.
Okay, so that's it. That's what we have to go with. Momentum's not energy. Momentum isn't movement. You can't expect momentum to cause something to move. Momentum doesn't knock bowling pins down. Momentum doesn't knock quarterbacks down. Momentum doesn't push on anything, doesn't move anything, doesn't do a damn thing. Momentum is a fairy tale. When, yes, obviously I'm making exactly the opposite argument. Momentum is everything, and kinetic energy is the fairy tale. And the wave particle, same damn thing. Their physics is about some moronic duality where somehow they're both real things even though they do contradictory things. Contradictions can't be both real. Coiling gun case, I did 2 joules of energy and I got 2 joules of energy in my spaceship. You can't explain that contradiction. Okay, no, that's not proof against KE. In the absence of a net force, it is a net force. It is an explosion, for fuck's sake. Momentum must be conserved. This is just baby talk.
When I try to engage with the subject, it's...
Okay, so how do you engage with the subject? You're trying to pretend there's no fucking goddamn energy in this equation when there was. I blew up some dynamite. Some gunpowder. That's an external force. That's a force. I'm applying a force. And the force isn't obeying Newton's law. And there's no evidence that the calculated kinetic energy plays any role whatsoever.
Baby talk, right? Right. Again, I mean, I summed it up earlier. I don't know why I need to even keep going. It's clear that the only...
Okay, it's clear except there's no evidence. So it's clear to see except there's absolutely nothing in the viewing chamber, right? So they have a viewing chamber. Here's our evidence. Look at our evidence. It's fantastic evidence. There's nothing there.
The only motivation here is to have somebody to argue with.
Really, yeah. So for 6 years, I've been desperate to get a decent answer to the question, and your answer is momentum isn't energy. Well, that doesn't mean anything. It's clearly energy when the spaceship has it. It's not energy when the recoiling gun has it. I mean, when does it become energy and when is it not energy? I mean, it's just ridiculous. Obviously, your formula is dependent on momentum, so you must think momentum is something real because you're squaring it. You're squaring part of it. It's not conserved, so there's no point in you saying it. The bullet has 2,000 joules. Where did I...
You know what?
What experiment should I do to find out how much power the gunpowder has? So if I do the 2 bullets, I get 4,000. If I do the two guns, the 1,000 mass, I get 4. And if I do the one in the middle, I get 2002. All right. So if I have a bullet and a recoiling gun, I get 2002. I get 4,000 when 2 bullets are in the gun, and then I get 4 joules when it's 2 recoiling guns. You say that physics is tight and undeniable. I say that physics is silly and stupid, and anybody reasonable should say, I want a better explanation. The gunpowder can't change how much energy it has. The explosion has an explicit amount of joules of capacity to move matter. It can't have 4, 2002, and 4,000. It can't do that.
Let's just let him go.
It conserve anything called momentum. All right, your example is a good one that shows that. Oh, fuck you. What your example, so you see, he's just talking around it. What your example shows is that.
What do you mean talking around it? I'm engaging directly with your example.
Oh, amazing. I mean, could anybody viewing this not concede this guy has no integrity? He will say any preposterous lie. How the fuck did you address the question? You have 3 different definitions of the gunpowder's capacity to create energy. How can there be 3 different ways of measuring it, and not one of them is distinctly superior?
With the numbers you provide. I am working your example.
Oh, God, I just can't believe that they're this slimy and dishonest. Really, I just, like I said, I just didn't think this would be the problem. Compiling evidence and arguments. I thought that would be the hard part. Figuring out a better answer to gravity, finding a better answer to the double slit, finding a better answer to energy. That's the hard part. I thought the easy part would be explaining it. Shit, I mean, it's so obvious. Again, if you do any analysis of the subject, any research, you'll see it's obvious there's no evidence for this theory.
In front of you, and you're saying that I'm talking around it? Right. Okay, this is where you've crossed the line.
Oh, man, it's just so amazing that this asshole can sit there and make this as a counter-argument to the quandary I've explained. How the fuck can you have 2,000 joules of exhaust and yet you only have 2 joules in your spaceship? How the fuck can that make sense to you assholes? And you won't answer the question.
You've crossed the line from I'm just a crank, I'm just ranting, you've crossed into like full on lying, right?
No, man, what amazing. I'm lying because I don't think you claiming, I don't even know what you're claiming, right? There's nothing you're claiming. You're claiming that 2,000 joules, I should not have the expectation that I shot 2,000 joules that way. I shouldn't have the expectation that I get 2,000 joules this way. I shouldn't have that expectation.
Full on lying now. And it's right there on the screen. Everybody can see.
Well, I'll make the same argument. Anybody with any a single tiny one honest neuron, they can see who's being sincere and who's full of gibberish.
Am I talking around the problem? I'm working the problem. I'm like literally.
I'm working it. I'm working the audience. I'm working it. 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 I'm saying I'm working it. And it's just like kinetic energy. I say it's work, but there's no evidence it's working. Doesn't crush cars, doesn't move spaceships, doesn't balance pendulums. What the fuck does it do?
Literally working the problem in terms of momentum and then in terms of energy. I'm explaining why those are not the same thing.
Oh, no, you're not. You're telling me they're not the same thing. You're not explaining why they're not the same thing. You're not explaining me where your scalar energy is and what it's doing. What is it doing? If it's not motion that you transfer, what the fuck is it?
And that is the topic of conversation as far as I understand it. That's the conversation I'm trying to have.
All right, so dishonest.
Apparently, it's not the conversation you're trying to have. I think the conversation you're trying to have.
Yeah, the one where I pose the question and you give me a rational answer. You don't tell me, well, because it's not energy. That's it. Yeah, it's not energy. Motion isn't energy.
Is that you want somebody to shout profanities at.
Oh, fuck you. Just fuck you. Piece of dirt. You're only getting my vomit as a reaction, okay, because what you're saying is so disgusting. It's so fucking dishonest. You lying little shit.
So, yeah. So why am I making this video? I don't know. Maybe I want.
Yeah, it is hopeless because your arguments are vacuous. They don't exist. There's no argument. I can't write your argument down and say this is the reason why. Butthole guy says momentum isn't energy. That's the answer. Well, that sure proves it. Who can deny that experiment? I asked the physicist and he said it's not energy.
Even release it, but I just thought it would be interesting maybe to highlight that, when I come from the point of view of
Lying shitheads. A cabal of group thinkers.
people don't believe in science, and it's our fault as science.
Yeah, well, I'm seeing that. I love science, frankly. I love experiments. I love finding the truth. I think it's all great. You're doing a terrible job. That's the fact. An absolutely horrible, awful piece of shit garbage science. I mean, just keep inventing silly notions and saying they exist, and everybody must believe. They must believe electrons can occupy the same space. They must believe it. They must believe an electron can be over there and over there at the same time. They have to believe it. Because we say so. Fucktarded bullshit.
It's our fault. We push them away as educators, as communicators.
Yes, because you told a story that's just religion. You didn't show a damn thing. I still haven't seen anything that looks like a quark. Show me the quark evidence. Oh, well, that's right. The quark evidence doesn't have a damn thing to do with showing anything but electrons being deflected. That somehow proves there's quarks.
We pushed them into these beliefs. We pushed them away.
Yeah, because you're liars. You shoot a laser beam at a crystal and then say it's a double slit experiment when there's no fucking slits.
Maybe that's still true. Maybe draft physics here has been pushed so far that there's no longer. It's not
about being pushed. It's about me being not duped, not being fucking propagandized into being a deluded asshole. I'm seeking the truth, and I've found it. And you morons are still selling your delusions. This is just about evolution against religion. This is just a new version. It's just the right answer of the universe is just masses moving, and that's all it is. There's nothing else happening here. Big masses, little masses, motion, that's it. It's just running on MV. It's not running on anything else.
Any reaching. There's no turning back. He's past the point of no return.
I'm past the point of being fooled by pretentious douchebags who, yes, they're well educated, but they have, as being demonstrated, they have zero integrity. So that's like a well educated, I'm sure the bishops in the Catholic Church are all well educated. Doesn't mean they can do anything with that education.
But yeah, this is the example. This is the world we find ourselves in now, where we're past the point of no.
Yeah, a bunch of douchebags just tell people what they have to think, and they don't explain why they should think it.
There is no more possibility of having a viable conversation with somebody who is.
Okay, so the viable conversation is in the arguments. Again, I could draw the pictures. There's no F-bombs in the pictures. So just play the goddamn drawings and explain where I'm making an error. Can you do that? Of course not.
Against you, right? And yeah, if you're seeing an analogy here, an allegory to something in a more
Yes, I would argue you're an allegory to cancer, coronavirus, plague, typhus. You're an analogy to syphilis, syphilis, mad cow disease. You're an analogy to an infestation of stupid.
important part.
Arrogant, obnoxious douchebaggery. You're both a giant douche and a shit sandwich.
Of the world. Yeah, that's absolutely how I feel about that. That's what this is. This is an allegory to politics. Yes, it is. Science and politics have blended, and yeah, that's where we are. Where we can't pull people back across from another point of view. Can we maybe start over? Are there young people today? Can we prevent young people
amazing
from get?
He wants to molest their little minds, okay, with delusionary fables about the magical kinetic energy and the fact that it's proven it does work, but the proof is invisible, like the kinetic energy itself. La, 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 la.
Being pushed that way. I still think maybe. There's something there, but certainly my efforts have shown. This is the fruit that my efforts bear. Yeah, right. Let's keep going.
That throwing a 2-gram object at 1,000 miles an hour takes more energy. Right, exactly. Where did the energy come from?
You threw the object, so the energy came from your muscles?
Right. It was exactly the same work. Fact. The gun says it's the same work. Half the energy goes this way, half the energy goes that way. It's half the work, half the energy. So it's the same exact work, and yet one of them has 1,000 times more energy. How did that happen?
Right. It's the chemicals in your muscles. It's a chemical reaction. I don't know. I mean, what more do you want?
All right, right in the video, I did change the analogy to a gun inside of a gun and bullets and bullets, so I did change the analogy. This isn't just about throwing, it's about a specific amount of motion. And we're just arguing that, your physics says it's the same energy to move the gun as it is to move the bullet, and you're just claiming that somehow the bullet has 1,000 times more energy. Where did it come from? I did 2,000 joules of work and to produce the bullet, and I only got 2 joules of rebound.
A little unrealistic to imagine that you threw an object.
Oh, so yeah, now he's just playing games with the analogy. It's a thought experiment. We're just saying something leaves the spaceship. You can't even do that. You can't even cut the argument enough of a break just to recognize that all you're saying is you have an object and it's going to expel a piece of matter with a velocity. I mean, realistically, you're really going to play these kind of games?
No, I guess.
I mean, what moves, like in the Gravity movie? She's got the fire extinguisher. What's moving her? The kinetic energy of the fire extinguisher or the momentum? And obviously the answer is the momentum is the only thing doing any work.
I'm sorry. The Coke bottle, it came from your muscles, right? You said you throw. My bad. You shot a dime. So in that case, I'm presuming you said shot. I don't know. What is that? A gun? Something analogous to a gun. You're shooting a dime.
I used a lever. I used a long stick. Pele. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? To have to sit there and argue about the fact that you're just saying it's an experiment. You're launching mass from a mass in space. What happens? And the simple argument is I can launch something with twice or 1,000 times more kinetic energy and I won't get any value out of the kinetic energy. Zero value.
I don't know where you got the energy from. Probably chemical. Again, it was probably chemical reaction caused that. Could be chemical by way of electrical, right? Or maybe it's just like a capacitor you used. I don't know. That's where the energy came from.
So how is that obeying Newton's third law?
How is it not?
2002. That's how it's not. Fuck. Yeah, that's how it's not. 2000 doesn't equal 2.
How is it not obeying Newton's third law? Which I'll have to rewind and see. Maybe it was a different video, but you were ranting against Newton's third law earlier.
Well, everybody knows that's a lie, right? The only thing I said about Newton's third law is it's not an equal and opposite reaction, especially in the case of, when the motion continues in the same direction, all you've done is exchange the motion. There's no opposite reaction. You give away $5, you're $5 poorer. There's no opposite reaction that makes you $5 poorer. The action of giving away the $5 already did it. That's all. It's just a clarification. And I said, who cares? That's what I actually said right after I said it, because I said, I don't care if you want to believe there's an opposite reaction. I don't even care if you want to think friction is a force. It doesn't really matter. The point is, what's the end result? And the end result is there's energy in the ground. And it's the same energy that was in the thing that stopped moving because of the ground. There's not more energy.
Yeah, right.
Explain it to me, please. Throwing the 2-kilogram object at 1 mile per hour despite it being the same amount of momentum. So, that's no point. Momentum is not energy. Again, you keep saying it, but prove it. Prove it doesn't move things, makes things, and give things force. Prove it.
Okay, I'll prove it in the very next 2 lines. Next 2 lines is the proof that momentum is not energy. I invite everyone to look at the next 2 lines. They're on your screen. Let's see if you can follow along.
Prove it. It doesn't perfectly fit the definition of energy. Energy is motion. Momentum is motion. I mean, amazing bullshit. Energy comes in units of... He's doing it again. It doesn't matter if it comes in Newton meters, because I can convert that into joules. So fuck you
Yes, you can. A joule is a Newton meter.
again. Momentum comes in units of ns. It doesn't mean anything. He just said, yes, you can. Why? What's the? See how this is just so duplicitous. He just said, yes, you can convert newtons into joules. So if I have a common reference and I say, well, 20 newtons is 2 joules, I haven't violated any laws. It makes perfectly good sense to say it. I said it. But you're saying it's not true. That somehow those are fake joules. No, they're real joules. It's a real fact. You can do it. And you just admitted you can do it, and all this time you've been arguing you can't do it. I mean, your duplicity is amazing.
Does he know what NS is?
I couldn't care
I'm not
less.
sure, actually.
Newton
Centimeters
seconds?
are
Oh, fuck you. It's just Newton seconds is a thing?
Okay. So there you are. I put it to you, dear viewer, that is proof. Momentum is not energy. Energy comes...
Okay, so he's saying it's proof when I can put both of them in the same unit, and the clear indication is you have 2,000 in one case and you have 2 in the other case, and they're supposed to have been created by the same force. So somehow I made 2 joules, and in the other case I made 2,000 joules. And he just told me that somehow that is a realistic thing. I do exactly the same work, and I create 2,000 joules, or I create 2 joules. He's saying that's possible in this universe. And obviously it's not possible in any universe.
in units of Newton meters. Momentum comes in units of Newton seconds. Meters are not seconds. So Newton meters are not the same thing as Newton seconds.
There's just no point, right? Yeah, there's no point. 10 newtons is a joule. Is there some other fact? No. So it's 10 Newton seconds. No, 1. 10 newtons is 1 Newton second. There, we're done. They're in the same units. Oh, he's just such a liar. God damn it. I hate this planet of scum. You really can't get what you deserve. It would just be too horrible.
They're just not the same thing. What more do we need? That is proof.
We
By
evaded the whole
definition,
subject.
the definition of energy is different from the definition of momentum. Those are different words. They mean different things. So
Says you again.
you could perhaps argue that the kinetic energy formula is not correct. Okay, I was willing to entertain that. I'm willing to experiment with that. But to say that the words are not the same, right? Those words are not.
So where's the evidence that he's willing to entertain that it's not true? Where's the evidence? Every single point, every bit of evidence, he's denying it and saying it isn't true. I mean, clear. How can I make it any clearer? I'm simply asking him, how do you test how much joules that dynamite produces? How do you do the test? What experiment do you do? Because obviously if I do the 2-bullet experiment, I get a different answer than if I do the 2-gun experiment. So you explain to me which experiment is more valid. Which one is the true answer?
The same. They have definitions. That's all. That's right. And if you can't even agree to that, then we may be.
Just for the record, he didn't post any definitions. So if you ask AI, is momentum energy, in the sense of does momentum equal motion? It'll say yes. And if I say does kinetic energy equal motion, it'll say yes. They're both descriptions of motion.
At an impasse.
So no answer. Is there any physical evidence defending the kinetic?
Wait, no answer? Wasn't that my answer?
It's vacuous nonsense. It's gibberish. You conceded I can convert newtons into joules, and then you claimed that somehow when I do that conversion, it's invalid. Because now they're not the same thing. When, yes, they're in the same units then. So just keep lying. I mean, it's despicable.
My answer, once again, in case you missed it, was that momentum and energy cannot be the same thing. They don't have the same units of measure. It's like saying inches and degrees are the same thing.
Well, we know that physicists will tell you, okay, that all of these definitions of energy are all the same thing. Feynman said it, and Sean Carroll has said it, that it's an embarrassment to physics that it plays games and says there's, horsepower and, what's the one they use for air conditioning, and they use all kinds of different statements about what wattage again. They're all the same thing. They all can be directly converted into one unit. Fact. It's in the Feynman lectures.
Just not. We measure them differently. Meters and seconds are not the same thing. I don't think anyone would argue that they are. But you seem to be doing so, right? The definition...
No, they're both weights. They're pressure. So they both can be converted into pressure. They both can be converted into weight. Motion can be converted into weight. It's just a ridiculous pile of nonsense. Yes, you're ridiculous. You're just too fucking ridiculous for a conversation.
Of energy is newtons times meters. The definition of momentum is going to be newtons times seconds. Or certainly that's one form that we can put it in. We cannot convert.
All right, so a newton is a newton times something? I don't think it could be that. So I don't think that's right.
Seconds into meters. So, yeah, that's not going to work.
Kinetic energy theorem. The theory says an 8-pound bowling ball will produce twice as much energy as a 16-pound ball thrown with the same effort. No pro bowler can make the lighter ball work. Why? Okay, and he says, answering just the first part. Well, fuck you. Yes, of course.
Yeah, forgive me, I don't know anything about bowling. Sorry.
We do this in physics classrooms. No, you don't. All right, so he just said he doesn't know anything about bowling. What would a physicist need to know about bowling? It's a big giant mass hitting smaller masses. It's like a physicist saying, I don't know what a pool table. I don't get the concept. I mean, it's a ridiculous counter argument. What would actually bowling have anything to do with it, right? You don't have to. A bowler isn't going to be able to know any of this stuff. The analysis is merely about the velocity and mass of an object interacting with other masses and what can it do. And the simple truth is all it can do is exchange the momentum, and that's it. That's all that will be exchanged. Nothing else will be exchanged. The kinetic energy of the ball will do nothing at all. It will not move any pins. You're still going to have the same MV you started with. And you can't figure that out. If I did the bowling in space, I throw a heavy ball into lighter objects, and the lighter objects scatter away. You're going to tell me a physicist can't tell me that I have to conserve the momentum and that the motion of the pins will be exactly what the ball originally had? Of course, a physicist will tell me that. I can't shoot a cue ball into the triangle of balls and expect that I'll get more momentum out than I put in. And the trick is if I made the balls smaller, okay, and lighter, yeah, it's going to make it kind of complicated. But the fact is I can't change the MV part. Can't change it. So therefore, whatever kinetic energy exists, it can't mean anything if it's the same momentum. The same momentum will move the same number of pool balls. The same momentum will move the same number of pins. And you can never collect the kinetic energy. It'll do absolutely nothing on a pool table, and it'll do absolutely nothing in a bowling alley. These are evidence why the story of kinetic energy is a fable, is because you keep saying it does work, and in every single case, there's no evidence that it does a fucking thing. There are lab experiments we do as students to verify this, so he just keeps saying it.
In the first video, strike that, reverse it. Again, in the first email that I sent, I gave an example of how to do this with a spring. Just a spring launching thing, like a pinball machine type of thing. You could do it with a pinball machine, literally. So, and also there's another creative.
That's the example he gave. So there's no, this isn't true. So there's no link to a video, no nothing. And obviously, as I've already pointed out, I think I even told him that I have a video called Springs that explains why spring experiments are a little bit dangerous.
Who went and made a demo again with springs.
Who did? The liars? Oh, yeah. So again, he has to go to a group of trolls to go find physics experiments because physics hasn't done any. I mean, it's so ironic. It's like going to the flat earthers for the proof. Why don't I go ask the 9/11 truthers what the truth is? It's the same group of people.
You could do this in any number of ways.
No, there isn't. You're a pathetic liar. Okay. I invite you to try one. I invite you to label one of them, show me one of them, link me to one of them, you lying sack of shit.
So yeah, again, with the projection of lying.
I'm sorry, you're a liar. Okay, you said you've provided me evidence. You haven't provided any evidence whatsoever. Certainly not related to that simple argument that you have two objects moving with the same momentum but very different kinetic energies. And the argument is, can I collect the kinetic energy? Can it do any work on anything I hit? And the simple truth is, it'll never do work on anything I hit.
Let's make sure I'm not a lying sack of shit. Here's that first email that I'm referring to. I wonder. Here's my explanation of how you can do this with a spring. Do a little, experiment, and
okay, he's not going to read it, so I will. You liar. All right. So, I have to find the first email response. This probably is it here. I don't know where he called himself Professor Science. Okay, that looks like the same email. No link, no link, no link. Oh, no, this was later, so I got to go back further. All right, looks like here's a video quickly explains electric motors in comparison with ICE cars. No, that's useless. All right. Let's see. Why can I spin my tires? Okay, and so then here's horsepower and torque, which that's useless. Let's see. Link. Oh, here's one down here. Okay, mini projectile launcher. So what would this be? If a spring had a constant amount of momentum, it should get, and there are not the same, and it should be very simple to test if you have one of these. So this is just a ballistic pendulum. This isn't, obviously I've seen 400 ballistic pendulum experiments. Why the hell would I even bother with this? Right? Well, let me go see what it is actually. Open a new tab, I guess. See if it messes up my video in any way. No. Good. Alright, projectile launcher. So this is just launching something and you watch how long it takes to fall to the ground. What the fuck does this have to do with the subject? Please explain. What does this have to do with the subject? Oh. Are you claiming that the projectile travels 4 times as far? With twice the velocity? Is that your claim? It doesn't happen, so I'm just saying, is that your claim? Yeah, so let's see what it says here. This simple, so $109 for a spring gun. Precise launcher is versatile, great indoor classroom use projectile motion studies. The mini projectile launcher projects 16mm steel balls at a range suitable for use on bench tops and from the bench floor. 3 launching speeds give a range of 1 meter, 1.5 meters, and 2 meters. Oh, does it tell you how much spring compression those launching numbers actually are? I guess you can get it to go 2 meters when it's twice as compressed. So I guess it's just obeying Hooke's law. So I win again because Hooke's law doesn't have any squared velocity in it. All right, so that's just bullshit, right? So you didn't see the picture, but it's just this silly little gun. You know, it's just a spring launcher, you know, like a pop gun. You just compress the spring and it launches a ball into air. That's it. And he claims that somehow this is evidence that twice the spring compression creates 4 times the distance. I bet you there's no evidence that twice the spring compression creates 4 times the distance. Unless you're going straight up, of course. Vertically, it won't be, you know. So that's the real trick, right? And that's the whole point. You can do this at very different angles. So we know if you do it straight vertical, it'll be 4 times the distance. And we know that if you do it straight across, it'll only be twice the distance. So somehow he's telling me that's a proof of kinetic energy. Those completely different answers depending on whether you're fighting the force of gravity. Interesting. No, wasted time. All right. So let's move. I mean, you know, it's worth me finding somebody who actually is using one of those. I haven't seen it before. So it'd be nice to see somebody do that experiment, launching the ball straight up versus launching the ball sideways. All right. Because obviously the gravity is onerous for the slow velocity object, right? Because it's only the 4.9 meters. It's not going to get any extra. So this is basically the argument about the efficiency of launching a rocket, that the faster you get into orbit, the less work you'll have to do. That simple argument, that gravity is a time-dependent force. And so the faster you can get going, the more distance you can cover. The slower you go, the more paint you get on you. That simple argument. Okay. Continuing.
Here's a link to the product that I suggested that you might look into.
So look into how. Again, how is it any different than what I just said or what I've drawn in video? So I have drawn launching something vertically in videos. Now, one of your fans, okay, one of the guys you're relying on for videos, he said that when you go twice the velocity, the ball goes 4 times the distance. He said that's true. His video is still up where he says it. So that's what he believes, that your vertical, your horizontal velocity, twice the velocity, it'll land 4 times the distance. That's his argument. One of the brilliant people you're defending. The brilliant experimentalists.
And you say, oh, we don't do this in physics classrooms. No one's ever done this in a physics classroom. Then why do they sell this product?
Liar. When did I say they don't do it in a classroom? No, liar. They do lots of really poor experiments, but I'm just saying this one is, we already know the answers to this one. We already know that it's going to go twice the velocity, get you 4 times the height when you go straight up. We already know that going horizontally, it'll only give you twice the distance. We already know those answers. Those aren't being disputed by me. And they're an indication of what I'm arguing, that kinetic energy is irrelevant.
Well, what is this product for? If it's not for physics classrooms, gosh, I wonder.
So why doesn't it travel 4 times the distance? Why doesn't twice the velocity give you 4 times the distance? Oh, that's right, because you're not really collecting the energy. That's the real answer. But anyway, go ahead and pretend. I can't stop you from being a silly pretender, but you're just pretending that somehow this debunks anything I've said. It debunks nothing. There's absolutely zero contradiction with anything I've ever said and what this device does. Zero. Zero disagreement.
So yeah, here's a spring, and you can launch your little steel ball. And you could dig deeper. I'm sure you can find the one that we had in my physics classroom when I was a kid. We had one that had 3 different balls. And we had one that had 3 different kinds of balls, and so they had 3 different masses. So the spring would launch with the same amount of...
Perfect. Perfect. You just said it. The spring will launch with the same energy for all 3 balls. So again, I have a video called Springs on the debatephysics.com. It's right near the top of the web page. So go to debatephysics.com. There's a video called Springs, and it explains how light things don't get the same energy in release on a spring. Springs collect energy really well. They give it back pretty badly. A huge bias for the heavy object. The heavier the object, the more of the spring's energy you'll get in motion. The lighter the object, the less of the spring's energy you'll get as motion. Absolute fact.
Energy with the 3 different balls, and you can just measure what the launch velocity is for each one, and you can measure...
Right, so if you measure the launch velocity, you'll see that obviously they're not launching with the same momentum, because they're not getting the same energy.
The height that it goes to, you launch it straight up and see how high it goes. All kinds of fun experiments that you can do with this. And yeah, regularly done in the physics classroom. So, yeah, it's kind of funny, you know.
So that's his proof. You can see the image of the thing right there. This is nothing. It's a stupid toy, okay, with another 56-cent spring, okay, with no perfect calculations. But I mean, it's obviously has a 1 compression, 2 compressions, and it has the fake 1.5 one in between. And that's it. That's all it is. There's no measuring device here. There's no nothing. But clearly, if I shoot different masses and have the expectation that I'll get the same energy into the ball, that's bad science. And I've proven it. You can see it. I can just show you a ball bouncing off a wall, a rubber ball, and you'll see the ball wobbling. Well, the spring's doing the same thing, and that's stealing energy. When a spring oscillates after the ball leaves, that oscillation is energy that didn't get in the object. That's a fact. And it's going to oscillate a lot more when you launch a light thing than when you launch a heavy thing. Fact.
Who is lying about this and who refuses to do experiments, right? That's an example, right? There's much more.
Okay, so he continues to lie that I don't do experiments. So it's just a lie, asshole. I'm sorry you don't know the truth, but it's a lie. I have done them, and through the process of doing them, I know how you can cheat. It's so easy. You can do it badly and make the results come out any way you want. So the point is that I don't want the experiment done where you can doubt. I want it done pristine, so well that nobody can have any doubt. It's the whole reason they put feathers and ball bearings inside of vacuum tubes, okay, is to make it clear, to make it obvious. Yeah, you could see it without you being in a vacuum that, okay, you can understand it. But seeing it is so much better. And seeing it in a way that just can't be fudged is excellent. I suggest one to you earlier. Where? Where did you do that, liar?
Very first email. Just showed it. Everyone saw it.
Right. Did they see an experiment? Did they see an experiment where it showed kinetic energy doing work? No. It doesn't do any work in these experiments. It doesn't do a damn thing. Twice the height in gravity, 4 times the height in gravity doesn't mean 4 times the energy. There's no evidence that it's 4 times the energy. Twice the velocity? Yeah, of course. You're only in the gravity 2 seconds. You only did twice the work. You didn't do 4 times the work. You only did twice the work. 2 units of gravity, 2 units of work. Duh. If it took 4 seconds, then you might have an argument. But it only took 2 seconds to go 4 times the distance. So anyone who knows anything about gravity knows that's the truth. Because a meteor coming into the Earth doesn't gain the same. MGH doesn't work as a formula for anything that has a pre-existing velocity. Because now it's going to go through the gravity much too fast, and it's not going to gain the same amount of gravitational energy. Its potential has completely changed because it's moving already too fast.
So now we know, right? We know that one of us is lying, right?
And it's clearly you.
Okay.
That's not evidence.
I can see that point of view. Sure, one of us is lying, and we all just saw the receipts.
I can offer you several more. See, there's nothing here. He's implying that there's some video he offered. Where is it? You didn't offer a video showing me kinetic energy doing any work.
I didn't offer video?
That's right. So there you go. So you're the liar. Okay. Plainly, you didn't offer any evidence. You didn't offer an experiment. You just said, look, there's this spring gun thing that does stuff. Well, let me see what it does. Let me see it demonstrate kinetic energy.
Linked you to a device you could purchase and use it to do these experiments yourself.
Again, they're not. It's experiments that we have any contradiction about. Why? Why would I do the experiment? We don't disagree about the results. You're just claiming somehow that when I go horizontally, somehow the kinetic energy doesn't mean anything, but when I go vertically, it does. Distance matters. Distance doesn't matter when I go horizontal, but distance matters when I go vertical. That's all you're saying.
We would like a video. Someone else, a different creator, has shared one with me after having shared it with you first. So we all know.
Link to that.
We know where this has led. And
let's
where
just see what kind of
Critical
crap
liar.
you call good science. Yes, let's see what you demand as being credible evidence. Let's see it. Why don't you play it in a fucking video and take full ownership of their crappy experiments? Own them. You're gonna use them as arguments, then put them on your fucking channel and say this is how science should be done. This is a credible experiment. Because I think some physicists will get pissed off. I think some of them might say, don't put flat earth experiments in your videos and claim it's good physics. You didn't show me a real scientist would have to be vomited, okay, by the very idea that you're going to put these shitty amateur crap experiments and say this is good science. It's disgusting. One mass going 2V doing more work than a 2 mass going 1V. Show me that. I pointed out how regenerative braking. Oh, fuck you. Regenerative braking has nothing to do with this subject.
Right. So there we go again. Regenerative braking has nothing to do with conservation of energy.
That's not what I
How
said.
do you figure? Or
So,
how do you figure that,
lie some more. Just lie some more. It has nothing to do with the claim that it takes 25 times the fuel to move something 5 times as fast. It has nothing to do with that argument. God, he's such a liar.
using the momentum of the car to recharge your batteries, right? That's regenerative braking. The brakes turn the motor and generate electricity.
Why would you be using the momentum to recharge your battery? Why wouldn't you use the kinetic energy? Doesn't kinetic energy recharge batteries? Why are you using momentum? Momentum doesn't mean anything. Kinetic energy is energy, you said. Momentum is an energy. So why would you use something that's not energy to put energy in your battery? If you're saying springs only collect kinetic energy, then batteries must only collect kinetic energy. So why didn't you say you can use the kinetic energy of your car to put energy in your battery? Okay, because the fact is you can't. That's the simple truth. A turbine spinning twice as fast does not make 4 times the electricity. A turbine spinning 5 times as fast does not make 25 times the electricity. A generator, a regenerative braking, does not have those ratios.
That electricity is stored in the battery. That's energy, right? We're capturing energy. And if this works according to physics, then it's capturing kinetic energy.
Says you.
Batteries don't store momentum. Batteries store.
Okay, so there's really no point, right? You have no evidence of this because now you have to show me the generator that produces 25 times the electricity when I spin it 5 times as fast, regardless of load. 25 times the speed, 5 times the speed will somehow make 25 times the electricity. Show me. Show me that happening somewhere.
Energy. So there it is, right there, straight up exactly what you're asking for.
So there it is, straight up, right there, exactly what I'm asking for, 0 experimental evidence. 0. He has nothing he can link to demonstrating any of that fairy tale being true. It's just a 3-pig story. He just says, there it is, I told you the 3-pig story. Isn't that all you need? What, do you think I need to actually bring a talking bear into here or something? Or, a bear house with a table and porridge and, springy mattresses? You think I actually have to do any of that? Yeah, you do.
Way beyond this now, but had we been in a collaborative point of view, I'd be happy to film some experiments, do some experiments, take some measurements, set up an accelerometer.
Right, so he wants to do all this stuff. He'd be happy to do it. Why don't you do it? I mean, it's fundamental physics. I mean, it's all unproven territory. There is no other video proving it. So why don't you do it? And be famous as proving the existence of kinetic energy. So let's see you do a real credible experiment proving it. Put the thermometer in the ballistic pendulum and prove it.
In the car, and videotape various regenerative braking, decelerations.
Okay, so we know the regenerative braking is more complicated. Obviously, you're reversing the motor. It's not really designed to do that, blah, 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 blah. So it's not the test. The test is what does the motor do when you don't have to do any braking? You're not going to drive on a hill. Come on. You can't find a little bit of flat road somewhere.
From different speeds and see how they differ and see how you can do that. And if anyone out there thinks that's really intriguing, yeah.
Yeah, so there are experiments that are really simple, like rolling a ball twice as fast on the ground. And so all of it's going to be is just interpretation, right? Because you're going to say there's somehow 4 times the energy with twice the velocity. And if I make the ball go 3 times as fast, you're going to say there's 9 times the heat in the ground. And you're just going to say it. So the point is you really do have to do the collecting part. You have to demonstrate it somewhere. You can't just claim it. If you're going to claim 9 times the pins were knocked over, right? If I have the bowling ball and I go to the twice the mass, scenario, the 3 times the mass. Do I make the ball 3 times the mass at the same velocity? It's your argument it's going to do, 3 times the velocity, sorry. Same mass, 3 times the velocity. Your claim is it's going to knock down 9 times the pins. My claim is it's going to knock just the 3. That's it. That's all it can do. It can't do any more than 3. Because all it can do is transfer the momentum. And then you can explain to me where all the kinetic energy is.
I mean, I guess if anyone else cares, we could go into it, but it's quite obvious that Mr. Draft Physics here does not care about that. He insists that only acceleration, not deceleration. No, braking is no good. He insists it must be the.
I never said it wasn't any good. I'm just saying it's a silly argument to make, because now braking, what does that mean? You have the friction coefficient with the brake pads, the efficiency of them. Then you have the size of the tires on the asphalt. And then there's all kinds of asphalt, lumpy, thin, slick. I mean, I'm just saying it's got so many variables in it. How the fuck could you sit there and say this is a reliable experiment when you have so many variables? I mean, it's ridiculous to sit there and think that's the way to test, when the simple answer is you just take an electric motor and you just simply double the wattage, double the wattage, double the wattage, and see what happens. And what you'll see happening is that there is no such thing as a quadratic increase.
The accelerator that we measure. I'm like, okay, I mean, whatever, right? Do we not understand that that's the same thing? Okay, right? Whatevs. We could do that too, right? We could do that too. It's the same deal. Have you noticed that your car accelerates more rapidly at low speeds than it does at high speeds? I have noticed that.
Yes, that wind blows the same way, right? So if you're going no miles an hour and you're in a 30 mile an hour wind, you'll accelerate quickly. But the second, 10 miles an hour, going from 10 to 20, you're not going to get as much out of the wind because the wind's only going 30 and it's not enough of a difference. Then when you're going 29, it's really going to be hard to go 30. So yeah, the fact that these are forces that wear out. Your engine has a limited amount of torque it can provide. So clearly it's not like light, or it's not like gravity where it's a speed of light force. It's moving relatively slow, okay? The force has a maximum speed that's limited. But I bet you really don't notice any of that, frankly. I haven't noticed when I drive. It's not like I have to put the accelerator down more inches, I just keep increasing the force and I get more and more acceleration. Seems quite proportional to me, actually.
When you slam on the gas, when you pedal to the metal there, right? From zero.
Well, we know we don't want to do that. We don't want to do pedal to the metal because then the wheels will just spin. So that's really stupid. We want to, in a nice, orderly fashion, do this progressive motion, this progressive increase in speed, and test 10 miles an hour versus 30 miles an hour. And we'll see if it takes 9 times the fuel.
Stop. Your tires spin. You got to let off a little bit, right, to get maximum acceleration. Whereas once you're rolling, you can probably floor it, and the car does not have the same amount of get up and go. Why is that?
Okay, I don't see that happening.
The battery and the motor are produced.
So it's impossible to pass other cars and all kind, because you can't get the car to go any faster. Bullshit, you can't. Gear ratios do get in the way. Obviously, you have to do you have to give yourself a high-speed gear to go high speeds.
Momentum, then the rate we can increase momentum should be constant regardless of what our speed is. But that is not the case. It's just not. This is basic engineering, basic physics. And if you've ever done any kind of engineering with cars,
oh yes, you understand that it does take 25 times the fuel to go 50 miles an hour. You do understand that you're using 25 times more energy. If you traveled at 100 miles an hour, you'd use 100 times more gasoline. Yeah, I don't think you will. I'm sure you will not.
Understand that the car's acceleration drops dramatically as you get higher and higher in speed. And there's a few contributors to why that is, but the biggest one is the power problem. The engine is producing energy.
Okay, so you could just turn this into an argument about electric fans. I can turn an electric fan on, I can put it on low, medium, high. There's no difference. I'm not using 9 times the electricity when it's on high. Just idiotic.
And the energy has this component in it that scales with the square of velocity. So
Doesn't happen. No evidence, no evidence, no evidence, no evidence, no evidence. He just asserts it and he produces zero evidence. Nothing. Not even anything. Not a single video, not a single anything, not even a physics lecture proving it. Nothing. 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 He's just claiming it.
That's that. And it's pretty obvious that you're not interested in having that conversation. You're just pretending. You're
liar. So I'm, the Mythbusters did the experiment. I'm all excited. Fantastic. They did the experiment. Let's do some more experiments. Where am I against the experiments, liar? I'm saying, why hasn't your physics ever done any of them? They've done nothing. 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 They haven't even banged things into a scale to see how much impulse weight they create when they hit something. They haven't even bothered with that. Nothing. Nothing. Nothing tested.
pretending that you're interested in having that conversation. All right. I mean, I'll still have the conversation.
Yeah, I'm not interested in conversation. I'm interested in evidence. Draw it. Draw it. And then show where the drawing matches an experiment somewhere.
Here in this video, at least...
show how something going through gravity only goes into 2 seconds worth of gravity, and yet it's affected by 4 units of force. That somehow it's not 9.8 meters per second, it's something else because there's more force affecting it.
The rough explanation. If anyone finds this interesting, if anyone is genuinely curious to see demonstrations of that, or derivations, will work math problems, anything you're interested in, down in the comments, ask a specific question. We'll get into that. Draft Physics is clearly only interested in having someone to yell profanities at, and this.
Yeah, clearly you're just a liar. So again, there's nothing I can say, right? I mean, I've drawn it over and over and over again. I made 5-minute videos just for this purpose of them debunking them, and they won't touch the real argument. They won't in any way address the real argument. And you saw that. You saw them evade the rocket ship experiment entirely. Just ignore it. The fact that guns don't obey the Newton's third law, he doesn't even say anything at all about that.
Be the last one of those where I'll participate with him on that. This is just here to show you what we've devolved into in terms of having a conversation with someone.
Yes, jackass. Well, look, in all of my videos, I keep saying for the history, for future, that look at these people. Look at this shitty argument I got. This is how bad science is, that it has so little integrity. And that's all that's going to be the lesson out of all of this, is that no wonder the science was shit, because the scientists were shitty scientists. And that's the absolute truth. These people don't want the truth. They don't want to investigate the truth. They don't want to find the truth. They have absolutely no interest in the actual way this universe functions, because they have a fairy tale they enjoy, and that's all that matters.
Who has been pushed so far that they're no longer open to even discussing this.
Oh, he's such a weaselly cunt. I'm open to it. You tell me, say if you believe that giraffes get longer necks because they keep trying to reach higher, and trying changes their genetics. So that's a simple argument. You're saying that trying changes genetics. Well, go ahead, show me. Show me how a genetic molecule is altered by trying. And you won't do it. And that's the simple truth. You won't provide me any evidence demonstrating that anything you're saying is true. All right. Why did it do this? All right. My bad. I hit the button. Oh, it's just so bad. All right. As I pointed out how regenerative braking works in EV. I mean, this is just baby talk. Yeah, you're reversing the function of the generator. How does this have anything to do with the subject of an 8-pound bowling ball and a 16-pound bowling ball? How are you on this subject somewhere?
Wasn't the subject energy and momentum? What do you think regenerative brakes do?
I can document to you a 16-pound ball going 8 miles an hour and a 8-pound ball going 16 miles an hour, and I can document that they'll knock down the same amount of pins.
Is knocking down pins how you measure energy, or is that how you measure momentum, or is...
So again, the more nonsense, right? More talking around it. Well, how do you measure it then? How do you measure how many joules of energy the gunpowder actually has? Because depending on the experiment I do, I get a completely different number. And that makes sense to you. You're okay with that. I'm not okay with that. I think that's bad science. Really bad. Really, really, really bad. And again, back to the motor thing. So again, he's saying that the generator somehow is obeying the kinetic energy theory, when again, that's like saying that the turbines in Niagara Falls, if I could spin them 5 times as fast, I'll get 25 times the electricity. And it's an absolute fact that I won't. So he can just say the words, but he doesn't show any evidence. Show a generator. Show it spinning. Then show when it's spun twice as fast, it makes 4 times the electricity. When it's spun 3 times as fast, it makes 9 times the electricity. When it's spun 4 times as fast, it makes 16 times the electricity. And when it's spun 5 times as fast, it makes 25 times the electricity. Why is me asking you to show me that asking too much?
That how you measure knocking down pins?
They'll give them net when they're all done, when all their energy is exhausted. They will have the same amount of mass moving. The pins will be the same amount of mass moving. I described how car acceleration is power limited. Oh, I mean, it just, fuck. I just can't believe how dishonest this weasel is.
Yeah, and that's how these conversations devolve. I think we do it. Probably we do it on both sides. We see someone who doesn't agree with us and immediately jump to dishonesty, or the similar phrase, intellectually.
Well, how is it not evading the subject, right? It's a simple proposition. We're just saying spin the fucking motor. We're not talking about braking. We're not talking about sticking your arms out of the car. We're not talking about any other variables. We're just saying give the car electricity and see how much electricity it takes to go 50 miles an hour, and then see how much electricity it takes to go 10 miles an hour. Why is that asking too much?
Honest, we'll say sometimes. Yeah, I think there's an interesting philosophical question: is draft science? Is draft physics? Is draft physics lying to us right now? In my opinion, yes. Yes, he is, because he knows that what he's saying is not true.
So what sentence was a lie? So again, we're right back to nowhere. What fucking sentence was a lie? Please quote my lies. I'm really curious. What did I lie about? Amazing. Amazing that he would think I would spend 10 years in this abrasive, nasty environment having to do this dissident thing. All right. On top of, I'm not allowed to make any mistakes, frankly, right? So I've made 3, in the 10 years. And you really pay a high price for those. You really haven't researched anything I've done, right? So I'm just saying, on the draftphysics.com website, there's a subject called charge, and that subject shows where I've developed a simulator that perfectly matches Maxwellian theory. It creates charges that the electrons repel and the electrons and protons attract. in perfect proportion to Maxwell's equations. And it's dirt simple. Go ahead, rag on it. Explain how this is garbage. It has no interest to a scientist. The fact that I could make something so simple produce what current physics can't explain at all. You piece of shit. There's nothing insincere about my efforts here. You fucking piece of garbage. Alright, we'll call that video 3. It's okay. Do I do a 4th and a 5th? And a 6th probably. But we'll see. As stated, it's better than nothing. But I'm just saying it really does verify to the future. This is why you can't make physics. You can't fix physics. Is because it is a religion. A dogmatic religion. And they will not produce evidence. They won't admit that their evidence is weak. They won't admit that they've distorted it, that they misdescribe it. Again, Stern Gerlach, atoms are flying from a source to a destination, and they're claiming they're witnessing the magnetic moment of an electron. It's spin. They're seeing the electrons spin. I mean, and this is the same way quarks were invented. Just understand, they invented quarks because they shot electrons at neutrons, well, nucleuses. And they're just making guesses about, well, it deflected, so something must have deflected it, so it's got to be a 1/3 thing that deflected that one, and a 1/8 thing deflected that one, and up quark did this because it went up. And when it goes sideways, it's a sideways quark. I mean, it's that bad. There's no good theory here, and there's no good evidence here. All right. Humans are scum. That's so. It also proves my philosophy argument that there's nothing about humanity worth saving or preserving because they're just scummy shit talkers. Humans are nonsense spewers. They're fabulists. They always run back to religion.